Edit audio.
Hey all, it's Anne Roderique-Jones here, the writer and host of Ozarks True Crime, in production with Edit Audio. I'm here with an update. Ozarks True Crime is launching our third season, and we'll be covering the Sandra Hemme case. If you don't know who that is, you're not alone. One of the things that first struck me about this case is how little reporting exists on it. But once I really started digging into it, it became apparent that this is a story that needs to be heard. This season, we're looking into the murder of Patricia Jeschke, along with the steps that a Missouri town took to place its blame on Sandra Hemme, or Sandy as she's called. In 1980, at the time of the murder, Sandra Hemme was just 20 years old. At that point, she was at the St. Joseph Psychiatric Hospital and had spent her life living in and out of psychiatric care, struggling with mental illness. The following year, she pled guilty to the murder of Patricia after several police interrogations. To give you a peek into how all of this went down, during one of the interrogations, Sandy was so heavily medicated that she was unable to hold her head up and was restrained and strapped to a chair. There was no concrete evidence Sandra committed the crime. She didn't know Patricia, there were no witnesses, there was no DNA connected to her. Despite this, she is still incarcerated, serving her sentence of 50 years in prison without parole. This case is personal to me, not only because it's taking place in Missouri, my home state, but because it deals with the complicated web of mental illness and the criminal justice system, something that really hits home to me and my family. I've spent most of 2023 preparing to tell you this story, reading hundreds of pages of case documents, poring over books, obsessively decorating my walls with Post-it notes. I filled whiteboards with information, and honestly, a lot of questions that need to be answered. In fact, I care so much about this case on a personal level that we're taking the podcast just outside of the Ozarks in order to cover it. In 2024, Sandra has a chance at freedom. Her case will go back to court as new evidence has come forward. This season, our team travels to Missouri to attend the hearing, and we're bringing our listeners in on the findings. We'll look into how corruption, police interrogations, and discrimination against those living with mental illness have played a role in this case. Will Sandy remain in prison for the rest of her sentence, or will she be exonerated and granted long-awaited freedom? Stay tuned for Season 3 of Ozarks True Crime, the Sandra Hemme story.